I don't look back and say what if, because that was a deal I made with myself before coming to Westside. Because at that point I wanted to quit because I tore my pec completely off. It was complete rupture from the humerus and had to be reattached. And at the time when I had it done here in Columbus, like 90s, there was only one person in town that has done it, and he only did it 3 times before. And so that's how rare a complete tendon rupture was.
How painful was a complete tendon rupture?
Not at all.
Okay.
No pain.
It was all from the,
no
it was
bruising.
Like an avulsion.
It's just the whole pack was under the nipple. It just...
So they could pull it back and staple it on, or how did they...
I waited a month because...
Really?
Yeah, I thought that, like every injury, I thought it was going to get better on its own. And I was also graduating from college. I had finals. I had other stuff. It wasn't painful.
It wasn't painful.
I could not unrack a bar from a bench. And if I laid flat on the floor and had my arm out to the side, I could not lift it off the floor. But other than that, as long as the biceps and delts were recruited, it could compensate. I could carry books to class and
drive a car.
And so I kept thinking, since I can move it, it's got to get better. But when those 2 movements adduction and, being able to pull it out of the rack, when those would not come back at all, I mean, just dead
zones. At that long, it didn't ball up and go into spasm and hurt like crazy?
No, but it did start to scar into itself. So it took several doctors to be able, they had to cut the muscle to pull the scar tissue to be able to pull the muscle back and then drill the tendon into the bone.
Yuck.
And then, of course, afterwards, they're telling me, you're probably never going to bench over 400 pounds again. And I'm like, well, we use these shirts and, I really have never displayed what my real strength was based upon everything I've done in the gym. So I don't need to bench 400 to get a 600-pound bench. I just need to learn how to use, so
technique.
I'm justifying all of it, but it made complete sense to me.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize how damaging that statement was until I had to combat it, a year later or whatever it was. But after speaking with Louie, at that point, I'm like, my total hasn't gone up in 3 or 4 years. Maybe I am done. Maybe the professors are right. Maybe I hit this, genetic limit, that this is where my body can go. And even with that, I argued with them because I'm like, if I can just put my best lifts together, it beats the total. It beats my best total.
Right, your best for each.
Yeah, so let's say I don't get stronger. I can still go in healthier and put my best lifts together and always put 5 more pounds on each lift. And so their thing was, well, at what expense? Look at all the things that have torn and all the injuries that you've had just to do this. And so, of course, Louie had the answers like, training stupid and all this other stuff. And so when I decided to come back, it was a true decision. Like some people make decisions and there's really true decisions where you decide.
Committed
decisions. And when I made that, it was, I'm not going to come back. I'm not going to look back and say, what if, no matter what. So from here on out, no matter what, I'm not going to look back and say, what if I would have done this? What if I would have done that? Right. That's not going to happen. So it took everything to a new level.
Well, that committed decision is like the bodybuilder that says, I'm going to do a show, and then in 4 weeks from the show come up, he continues to the show.
Yes, exactly. And this was
committed decision.
Would I do things different based upon what I know now looking back? Probably, yeah, I would.
Who wouldn't?
But you know what? I didn't know those things then.
Right.
So I can't look back and say, that what if type of thing. And so that decision played a big part of it. And that's also what created the journey that this was going to go until I could no longer do it. When I could no longer grab a bar, it's kind of hard to squat. You can't grab the bar, and the surgery options are not good. So we're out of options now. This is over, but I didn't want it to be over. So that enters that next stage where you're dealing with grief of a sport.
It's different when you choose to give it up and when it's taken.
Yeah.
So that's a difference, and I can appreciate that. I was able to choose. And I'm glad, I didn't end on an injury. I didn't run out of steam. I didn't start to perform poorly. I stopped right at the right time. I was done, and that was it. I was at my best, and the best that I had gotten to. So I was still getting stronger, but the joints were hurting more and more and more and more. And the reward for putting 5 more pounds on was not what it was before.
Mm-hmm.
So the rewards got smaller and smaller, and it seemed the pain got greater and greater. And I stuck it out for one more meet, and I totally knew, packing up my gear from the meet, I knew that was the last one. I was thinking about it, right? It's not like you
No, you know
it's not
beforehand.
like it's well, sometimes it is a blindside, but
Yeah.
for me it wasn't.
Yeah.
I saw it coming, and I felt it coming, and I was able to choose
Yeah.
to stop.
I knew I saw it coming, in a few forms, the shoulder definitely, because there were 2 surgeries before that. So I knew what direction that was heading in. But the other thing was the rewards were getting smaller.
Yeah.
And
that's what you do it for, the rewards.
and I didn't want them as much as I wanted them before. No. And then the other part of it was the newer guys coming up were really strong and
that's not part of it.
And uninjured.
No, that's not part of it, because you're trying to use up your potential. Their potential has nothing to do with your potential.
Yeah, but it's still, when you're sitting there.
You don't look at them.
Yeah, you're a competitor. You still kind of look at where.
You know where they are, and you know where you are. That's what. But
man, I didn't like where I was going. Let's put it that way.
Did some of your lifts fall off?
No.
Okay, so
no,
that's good.
Yeah.
So there's if you never loaded a bar to 500 pounds and you benched 490 and you think you could have done 500, but you never tried it, you're not sure.
Yeah, see, that's that what if. I was never going to have
You're not
that.
sure.
But
if you tried it and miss, you're sure.
Yeah.
Or if you try it and you make it, you're sure. So, it's nice to end on some personal records. Your quality lifts not falling off and seeing, well, I've got to give this up now because I can't do what I used to could.
Yeah, that's why if I don't know, the shoulder I always say is a blessing and a curse, because let's say it did stay fine, would I still be competing? Because I never saw myself competing as a masters lifter, and this is not cracking on masters lifters at all. I always wanted to enter the open divisions and be the best open lifter, and that's kind of how I rated my progress. I had my own numbers. Yes, I wanted to be better than my old self. That's the main competitive purpose. But I still want to know where I'm at. Like every year I want to kind of move up, that ranking, that pecking order, just a little bit. I didn't know if I was ever going to be good enough to be at the top, but let's find out.
Yeah.
Let's find out. And I couldn't see working down that open list. And of course, the way Louis was, there is no such thing as anything outside of the open category. So it's like, you guys don't compete as submasters. You don't compete as whatever the hell it was. And so I never really saw that. But if the shoulder didn't put me out, I probably would still be competing.
Probably.
And I probably wouldn't
guys
be
like
sitting
you
here.
don't quit until they have to quit.
Yeah, and I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. I probably wouldn't have this company. I wouldn't be married.
No.
I wouldn't be seeing my kids.
Yeah, who knows what would or wouldn't have happened? But it's something we don't teach very well. We don't teach two things about it. One, the comment that I was going to make is we don't teach how to see it coming and plan for it, right? It's always we don't tell people how to get ready for that shock of not signing up for the next meet.
There's no exit plan.
No exit plan, right. And then the second thing is there's no what's after powerlifting plan, what's after football plan, what's after whatever plan. And I had read about that quite a bit in all these mental books that I read about sport. And they always say how tough it is for all these athletes after they're done. They win the gold medal, and that's great. They're the best. And they're 28 years old. They have no plan for what comes next.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands.